Hello and welcome to Precon Decon, the video series where I deconstruct the pre-constructed decks of Magic the Gathering's history. In this video we're going to look at the last deck from the Shadowmoor set, and that is Turnabout, which is a green and white deck. So let's just dive in, start looking at it. So we have 22 creatures, 4 instants, 4 sorceries, 4 enchantments, 2 artifacts, 24 land, and a mana curve off to the side there. So let's start looking at this deck. So this is, I'm just going to say, this is probably my favourite of the Shadowmoor decks, which is, I mean, honestly not saying much, because I'm just not a fan of Shadowmoor as a set, honestly. All the hybrid cards just feel very bland to me, honestly. But this one is, I think, probably the best one. This is this is one that friends and I back in the day. This was one where we, it's kind of like the lazy deck building approach. You buy 2 of them and then mash the good stuff together, and essentially double up on the good stuff. Because it was really good out of the box, and just obviously buying a second one just made it even better. So part of the reason why it's really good. So one of the resin deck is Reese the Redeemed. So 1 hybrid mana for a 1/1. He is a legendary creature, which is always fun, I think, to get in a pre-constructed deck. So for 2 and a hybrid green-white, tap him, you make a 1/1 green and white elf warrior creature token. And for 4 and 2 hybrid mana and tap him, for every creature token you control, put a token into play, that's a copy of that creature, so he doubles up in your creature tokens. Super good card. I mean, his 2 abilities obviously have synergy with each other. He makes tokens and then he can double them up later in the game. And the fact he's only 1 mana. He's Reese is really good, and he goes quite well with a bunch of cards in the deck. Honestly, that doubling effect, as we'll see. Reese is a really good rare to have right off the bat, and the other rare is really strong as well. Wiltleaf Liege. So 1 and 3 hybrid mana for a 4/4. Other green creatures you control get +1/+1. Other white creatures you control get +1/+1. If a spell or an ability an opponent controls causes you to discard Wiltleaf Liege, you just put it into play instead. So just super, and it's a 4/4. So this card's doing a lot right. Gives pretty much all the creatures in the deck +2/+2 basically, while being 4/4 itself, and it's kind of immune to discard. And you're making a bunch of tokens, and this buffs them up as well. Wiltleaf Liege is really good, and sort of another reason why we used to buy just 2 of this deck and mash them together, get 2 Lieges and 2 Reese the Redeemed. Super good card. Really good rares to start off in this deck. A single Wiltleaf Cavaliers, so 3 hybrid mana for a 3/4 with Vigilance. Pretty good. I think all these Shadowmoor cards that are these uncommon creatures that are 3 hybrid mana are all typically pretty strong. They feel not pushed exactly, but I feel like they're strong for their cost, and 3/4 for Vigilance. For only 3 is pretty good, and it being green white obviously really matters as well to Wiltleaf Liege. It being an elf really matters as well. Pretty strong. A single Seed Cradle Witch, 1 hybrid mana for a 1/1, 2 green white. Target creature gets +3/+3 to turn and untap it. That's pretty strong, I think, as an effect to have, just hanging around when you need it. Just an ongoing buff spell that can untap something at instant speed. 4 mana's maybe a little bit pricey, but it is obviously it's repeatable. So I think that's again a pretty good creature to have here. A single Elvish Hex Hunter, 1 hybrid mana for a 1/1, 1 hybrid mana, tap, sacrifice it, destroy an enchantment. Yep, fine. There's quite a few enchantments floating around in Shadowmoor, like all the God Auras, and a few other troublesome ones. So I kind of would have liked there to be another one of this in the deck, but it's fine just having the 1. 2 Old Gaspark, which I don't think is really needed at all. So 3 and 2 hybrid just for a 3/6. Yep, that's all it is. Just 5 mana for a 3/6 vanilla creature, nothing else. Obviously pretty boring to have. At the very least, it's a good blocker, I suppose. But it's coming down, turn 5 normally. At that point, you probably don't care about having a big blocker. I don't know. It's it's kind of a little boring, honestly. Could have been so many other different cards. And then 2 safe hold duos, 3 and a hybrid for a 2/4. Whenever you play a green spell, it gets +1/+1 till end turn, and when you play a white spell, it gets vigilance until end turn. That's fine. I think most of the spells on the deck are green and white, so this is usually going to get both benefits at once per spell. Yeah, and like all the duos, I think this is a fine card. Moving on to the mono white cards. So we have a Barrington Medic, which is 4 and a white for a 0/4. Tap to prevent the next 1 damage that would be dealt to target creature or player this turn. Put a -1/-1 counter on it to untap it. This is just a horrible card. It's just so expensive and so weak. Yeah, like 5 mana for a 0/4, and all it does is like prevent 1 damage at a time, and you have to like slowly kill it to try and prevent more than 1 damage in a turn. No, it's just really bad, I think. Yeah, definitely take that one out as soon as possible. 2 pale wayfarers, so 5 and 2 white for a 4/4. 2 colors and 2 white. Untap. Target creature gets protection from the color of its controller's choice until end of turn. So it's one of these weird Shadowmoor creatures that has an untap ability. I've never been keen on these untap abilities just because like they feel like so awkward to set up. There's actually looking at the next card I'm going to look at, that sort of goes some way to helping that. But yeah, I mean, at most, what you're gonna maybe swing with this, and then pay 4 to untap it. So it's essentially you're paying 4 mana to give it vigilance and protection from the color until end of turn, I guess. Which is, I suppose, that's the thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's very expensive. I mean, like 7 mana just for a 4/4. And yeah, and that ability is obviously quite expensive as well. Yeah, not wonderful, I don't think. Yeah, very expensive, I think, and I say awkward to get that untap ability set up. A single Resplendent Mentor, so 4 and a white for a 2/2. White creatures you control have tap, you gain 1 life. Definitely the weakest of all the mentors, which were a cycle of creatures that gave creatures of like that shared a color with them an ability. Obviously, this being the white one, it has to like be something like tap, gain 1 life. Couldn't have been lifelink. Could have been lifelink. Could have been vigilance. Could have been a whole bunch of other options. But no, it went with tap, gain 1 life, which is pretty boring, honestly. It does help set up Pale Wayfarer, I suppose. They can tap and then it's tapped to do its untap ability, I guess. Same with Safe Hold Sentry. So 1 cast and 1 white for a 2/2. 2 and a white untap. It gets +0/+2 till end of turn. That's just a bad ability. It's just so expensive, and again awkward to set up just to get +0/+2 and untap. I mean, I guess what the intended thing is you attack with this, and then it's tapped, your opponent attacks, you spend 3 and you untap this, and then it's a 2/4, I guess. But like, is that really the best thing you can be doing with 3 mana? Like, probably not. So yeah, just treat it as a 2/2 bear, honestly. Well, I mean, all bears are 2/2, but you know what I mean. And then 2 Devoted Druids. This is a little bit better. So 1 and a green for a 0/2, taps to add 1 green to your mana pool. Put a -1/-1 counter on Devoted Druid, untap Devoted Druid. So yeah, huge combo potential with Devoted Druid. Anything that can like remove +1/+1 counters, or just straight up prevents -1/-1 counters being put on things. Like, I know it's not in this set, but like Melira in the new Mirrodin set. Just anything like that, or that, yeah, super good Devoted Druid. Just the fact that if you can get a way to increase its toughness even, and this could just produce a bunch of mana in a single turn. So really good. Yeah. Really like Devoted Druid. Drove of Elves, this is a great card as well. So 3 and a green for an XX. Power and toughness each equal to the number of green permanents you control, and it has hexproof. So really difficult to deal with. Gets to a really big size really quickly, and then is it can't be touched by removal. So this used to be really tricky to deal with back in the day when we played this card. Yeah, really good creature. Like, out of all these kind of, again, these are a cycle of like these gatherings of creatures, and they get power and toughness equal to the number of permanents of a certain color you control, and they get a certain keyword. This is definitely the best just because of hexproof, protecting it from removal effects and stuff. Actually, slightly off tangent. The most recent Friday where I went down to the local club to play Magic. I built like a really budget crappy elf deck, and I stuck like 3 of these in here, and just no one had an answer to them. They were so hard to deal with. So yeah, super good card. And then 2 Pilipala, which is 2 colors for a scarecrow with flying. 2 untap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. It's just a really rubbish untap ability, isn't it? Because you're spending 2 mana to get 1 mana, so you're still down 1 mana. Yeah, just not great in my opinion. And then we have 2 Gleeful Sabotages, so 1 colours, 1 green, destroy type artifact or enchantment, has Conspire. As you play the spell, you can tap 2 untapped creatures you control that share a colour, in this case green. When you do, you get a copy of Gleeful Sabotage and you can target something else with it. So this is okay. I guess this is another way of getting some of your creatures tapped. But then, as I'm saying it, I'm realizing all the stuff with untap abilities is white or colorless, so it can't actually do this. So forget that. It's just, in that case, it's just naturalized at sorcery speed, which is not wonderful. I suppose you've got like other green, creatures in here, so you can still do it. But I say the stuff that cares about being tapped, so it can then untap is the Wayfarer, the Sentry, and the Pilipala. So yeah. A single Gloom Widow's Feast, 3 in a green, destroy target creature flying. If it was blue or black, you get a 1/2 green spider creature token with reach. Yeah, which is fine, I suppose. Maybe a little expensive just to destroy a creature with flying. Yeah, compare this to like Plummet, which is only 2. So yeah, this is maybe a little bit expensive. But it's okay, I suppose. 3 Presence of Gondor, which is really nice, having 3 of these. This card is pretty good. So 2 in a green, enchanted creature has tap, put a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token into play. So let's just ignore that intruder alarm exists, and yeah, like all this requires is just tapping. Doesn't require mana at all. So yeah, this obviously combos. This is like infinite combo with intruder alarm, which is like a classic blue enchantment. Just on its own, I think this is really good. Just being able to tap, put a creature token straight into play. Yeah, really good card to put on like a supporting creature that's maybe not going to be attacking that much, or like the Elvish Cavaliers, the Wiltleaf Cavaliers, would be good on them. Yeah, I just think it's a super good card. I'm really happy to have 3 of them actually, because this I think it's really what the decks wants to do is like go wide with a bunch of tokens, and then Reese can double up on them. It's annoying that you need 2 lots of tokens for this deck. Actually, you need the green elf warriors and you need green white elf warriors, which is a little annoying, but it's fine. I say this card is super good. And then a single Toil to Renown, 1 cast, 1 green. You gain 1 life for every tapped artifact, creature, and land you control, which is okay, I suppose. I'd say if you get maybe 6 or 7 or life off this, then it's maybe worth doing. You get more than that, I think it's okay for just 2 mana. But I say all it's doing is getting you life, which is okay. But yeah. Single Bark Shell Blessing, 1 hybrid mana. Target creature gets +2/+2 to enter. It has Conspire as well. Yep, fine. A single Dawn-Glow Infusion, X and 1 hybrid. You gain X life if green was spent to play Dawn-Glow Infusion, and X life if white was spent to play it. So you basically, if you pay green and white on this, you get double the amount of life, which is which is fine. Again, it's just life gain, but this is kind of like quite efficiently costed. I think is that if you do green and white, you're doubling your investment. So I think it's okay. 2 Mercy Killing. This is a great card. So 2 and a hybrid. Target creature's controller sacrifices and then puts X 1/1 green and white elf warrior tokens into play, where X is that creature's power. So you can do this on an opponent's creature and kills them, and they get a bunch of tokens in response. The actual galaxy brain play on this is to do this on one of your Drove of Elves. Say like you've got, I don't know, 7. Say like your Drove of Elves is 7/7. Or you got both of them out and they're both maybe 7/7. You do this, you sacrifice one of them, you get 7 tokens, and the other one shoots up to like 14/14. I think the intended play of this is to turn one of your bigger creatures then into a bunch of tokens, which then get the bonuses from Wiltleaf Liege, and obviously then you've got tokens then that Reese can double up. So yeah, Mercy Killing is super good. Like I would say this is for turning your creatures into an army, And if you need to, you can kill an opponent's creature with it, I suppose. It is nice that it's not like an edict effect. You're not giving your opponent a choice of what to sacrifice. It is saying you target a creature and they sacrifice it. So it is a way of getting around like indestructible and regeneration and stuff like that. And then a single shield of the Oversoul. This I feel is one of the better god enchantments. So 2 and a hybrid. As long as enchanted creature is green, it gets +1/+1, is indestructible. As long as it's white, has +1/+1, has flying. So yeah, this is like another great card to put on. Just the indestructible is really, really good. Just put this on Reese to keep him safe so he can make his tokens. Putting this on like Wiltleaf Liege or the Wiltleaf Cavaliers turns them into a huge, huge threat. Yeah, it's really good God Aura. And then just finishing off, a Revel Song Horn, 2 colors for an artifact, 1 and tap an untapped creature you control. Target creature gets +1/+1 till turn. Kind of a weak effect, honestly. I would prefer this I think it would be better if it didn't have like the tap in its effect, like if it was just 1 and tap an untapped creature, so you could potentially do it like more than once a turn, I guess. But it's fine. It gets the deck kind of inset was like going, oh, you want to get your creatures tapped so you can use their powerful untap abilities. Like, no, it's like about tokens and going wide. Stop trying to double down on this weird theme. Like Overkill, the red-green deck did this as well. Like, no, you want to turn all your basic lands into different land types. Like, no, I just want to hit things with like good red-green creatures. Stop making me do this weird strategy. It's not good. Anyway, and we had an Umbral Mantle, so 3 colors for an equipment. Equip 0, which is interesting. That has combo potential in itself. An equipped creature has 3 untap. It gets +2/+2 to end of turn. So yeah, this is like combo fuel, I suppose. This is something you could put on maybe like the Devoted Druid. I think that would maybe be. I don't know if you would be able to go infinite with it doing this on the Devoted Druid, because I think you'd have to put more -1/-1 counters on it than it could to live. I don't know. But yeah, Umbral Mantle is kind of like combo fuely. It's still okay again. But again, it's just got like the untap ability, which is hard to set up. And then weirdly, this is like the only deck in Shadowmoor that has like a non-basic land. Sapseek Forest comes into play tapped. It gives you green, or you can pay 1 green and tap. You gain 1 life, but you can play it only if you have 2 or more green permanents, which is okay, I suppose. So it could have been. So I do think the deck is. Most of it is fine. There's a few duff cards in here. I think Ballinok Cohort could have been okay. This is like a 2/2 with first strike and it gets +1/+1. If you have another white creature, Rune Servin Rider is 3 and a white for a 2/2 with flying, and it has a pump ability. Safehold Elite is a 2/2 with persist. Kitchen Finks is a great card. 1 and 2 hybrid for 3/2. When it comes to play, you gain 2 life and it has persist. Like really, really good card, Kitchen Finks. Because you're essentially getting 4 life off it and getting 2 lots of blocking or attacking out of it as well. Order of White Clay, I thought could have maybe been a rare. I'm glad it isn't, because it's kind of, again, it's like got an untapped ability, so it's kind of hard to make it work. But I could have seen it being a rare, like if they'd really wanted to double down the untap theme. So it's 3 mana for 1/4, 1 and 2 white, untap, return a creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to play, which is like a fair number of the creatures in the deck. But I'm really glad it's not. I'm really glad that the rares are Reese and the Wiltleaf Liege. So in summary, out of all the Shadowmoor decks, I think this one's probably one of the better ones. Probably this and like Army of Entropy, I think, are the better ones, and the other 3 are honestly pretty disappointing, I think. Yeah, I think it's pretty solid. As I say, it's one that we bought a lot from my local game shop at the time, because we were, just taking 2 of them and doubling up on the good stuff. I think we took out all the stuff that we cared about, untap, like all the creatures with untap abilities. I think we just doubled up on Reese and the Wiltleaf Liege and the Wiltleaf Cavaliers and the Drove of Elves, all that kind of stuff, and just made it essentially green-white elf tokens. And, obviously brought in like Lorwyn stuff to support that. So in that regard, it's a good jumping off point. But yeah, it's just really confusing why they wanted to double down on like the untap abilities, which I say are just very unimpressive and awkward to set up. But that's just my thoughts on the deck. What are your thoughts? Did you have this deck as well? Do you have any thoughts or opinions or stories about some of the cards in the deck or the deck as a whole? Put a comment below. I really like to read them. But we are now done with Shadowmoor. So we're going to move on to Eventide, which is honestly kind of more of the same. It's these, more sort of hybrid color decks. But yeah, we'll push on with that. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching and listening. Oh, I can't talk today. Thanks for watching and listening. Have a great day.